Alright everybody, welcome to part 3 on the 1975 Convertible. In the last video we soaked down the cylinders and it's been sitting probably for at least a week. First, what we're going to do is I have a borescope, also called an endoscope, and I'm going to see if that will record some video of the inside of each cylinder. What we're looking for is holes in cylinder walls, holes in pistons, bent valves, anything that's physical damage that would hold up an engine from moving. Hopefully this footage is good. I can't guarantee how well it's going to work. You might be upside down, but I'm going to try to divide it up so that we can see what each piston, or at least each cylinder, looks like. So here is the borescope. It's actually pretty good. I got it off of Amazon and it's a lot better than the ones, let's say, that you plug into your phone. And it's a specific tool just for something like this. So right now I'm upside down, but I can get fairly close to things and you can still read what they are. Quadrajet right there. So we'll go one at a time. Hopefully it records. We'll see what the things look like. So hopefully those pictures and or video worked out and you could see, I didn't see anything really obvious. The only thing that I saw was some of the cylinders look more sooty than the others. Don't know if that's a problem yet. But what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to see if the starter is stuck. That's one thing that we need to figure out, if maybe that's holding it up. There's really not much that can hold up an engine from spinning, but the starter is one. So maybe we'll take that out and see what it looks like in there. Maybe it's seized to, a rusty hunk. Who knows? The starter is down here in the depths of the engine. With the engine with headers, it's pretty easy to get to it, but with the manifolds and all this AC stuff and the smog stuff, it's pretty buried. Here underneath, wow, this thing is leaking oil like none other. A lot. Here's the starter. Wow, it still has the heat shield. You see that? There's a heat shield on the solenoid for this exhaust tube that goes up and feeds all that stuff. So there's a possibility this starter is retracted and hung up, but I don't know. I've never seen that before. I'm more amazed at this heat shield. You see that there? Makes it impossible to get to the wires to jump it. But guess we'll pull that out. Check this out, guys. So I was like, I don't want to pull this starter. It's so gross. It's so nasty. I don't want to go down there and do it. I'm going to try the breaker bar one more time. Watch this. Oh, See that? It moved just a tiny bit. This Corvette already got me. Here's my garage band-aid. Paper towel, electrical tape. All right. See that? It moved. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to rotate it all the way around by hand. And then from there, we can see what we can do about using the starter. Oh, come on. Oh. I feel like there are a few tight spots, but so far I see valves moving. So if you're a 74 or 75 Corvette owner, you'll recognize this. So this is GM's bright idea. It's called a seatbelt interlock relay. So what it does is it only lets your car start if you have your seatbelts on. Basically, there's two sensors in your seats, and it will disable the starter if it feels weight on the sensors and your seatbelt's not hooked up. So like if you put groceries in your passenger seat and you didn't put the seatbelt over them, your car wouldn't start. So this is a very common issue for 74, 75 Corvettes, and this one is the same. So I went to turn the key in the column, nothing, no dice. So what I've done is I've bypassed, I'll show you right here, I've bypassed where the relay sits. Luckily they put it up here, up top, where it's easy to get to. And I basically now have a direct wire to the starter solenoid. Now, where to get power from? Well, I'm going to draw it from the alternator through this little jumper wire. Probably better to have a better wire, but it's what I got for right now. What should happen is I should connect these two together and the engine should turn by the starter. Let's see what happens. Oh, that was good. I'm puking out some Marvel, I think. Alright, let's give it a good 2 to 3 second burst. All the valves on this side seem to move. Let's make sure these ones are doing the same. Remember, there's no plugs in it, so it's going to sound like it has no compression. And the lifters aren't pumped up. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did I hear oil squirting? No, can't be. Not yet. It's probably a lifter pumping up, but hey, I don't think this engine's actually stuck. It sure wouldn't turn by hand before. I guess the Marvel Mystery worked. I don't know. Maybe it was, the starter. Maybe it was the Marvel Mystery. I don't know, but it seems to turn over pretty good now. I just need to figure out how to get it to do it inside the car. Next, I think we're going to change on the oil because there's no point. I mean, we've already moved the oil pump some, but now we can put new oil in it with some Marvel Mystery. So this car supposedly has 77,000 miles on it, and obviously they've changed the oil before, but it's been a long time. Now that the engine moves by hand, I feel like I can change the oil and not feel like I'm dumping money down the drain. It's really hard to do with one hand. Well, that's good news. It's just normal black. It doesn't have any water in it that I can tell, because water would have been at the bottom. It's got a Napa filter. It's not original, but I wouldn't expect it to be. We'll pull that out too. Yum. Check out this cool vintage oil filter. that was bought for this car. And it's what I believe they came on from the factory, or at least the same, 70s decade of oil filter. Definitely cool to see that back on there. The flavor of oil for today is the Valvoline VR1 1030. High performance formula for pushrod and flat tappet engines. It says it has high zinc, so it should be good. Here's the old oil. I mean, there's really nothing remarkable about it other than it's just really old. Again, the top of the motor was really sludge free, so I'm assuming they changed it, somewhat decent intervals. But this is what I was hoping to see. It's what you want to see, really. With the engine all together, I would pretty much just be pouring the oil into the valve cover, and then from there it would run down and then back into the oil drain holes on either side of the head. Obviously that's not going to work, and if I just dumped the oil anywhere, it would overflow onto the exhaust manifold. So what I've done is I put this funnel against one of those holes, and I'm slowly pouring the oil as much as I can in. I got a little bit of leakage because the funnel doesn't actually fit in the hole, but go slow and it should work. So the motor turns by hand, it turns by the starter. We can now see if it wants to fire. Now the one thing we want to be concerned about is the fuel. It's been off the road for so long, I really don't think there's any fuel in the tank or any fuel in the lines or anything like that, but just to be safe, we're going to disconnect the fuel pump from the engine so that since it cranks, it won't accidentally suck anything up. So down here in the depths, that's going to be a pain in the butt to install. Eventually I will put a new fuel pump on it, but for now, what we can do is we can just cut the rubber hose that goes to it. It needs to be replaced anyway, so it's no big deal. So there's a main feed and a return. We'll leave the return hooked up, but we'll just, oh, that's so crunchy. We'll just cut this one. That way we don't draw anything from the tank. Oh, it's like a rock. Wow. My cutters are having issues with that. That's not good. Alright. Fuel pump's disconnected. We know the starter works. Let's test the ignition and see if we have ignition. Well, this would be easy to do, except for it's hidden. I guess I gotta take the shielding off. I didn't want to, but I'm gonna have to. I can't get to anything under there. Wow. Can't get any more original than that. So what I want to do is there's a wire right here labeled battery. And we're going to take this off and we're going to turn the key to on. And it should light up. So we're going to test our ground here on the back of the alternator. We have a good ground. We'll stick this into here. Now when we turn the key, we have power. So I'm going to plug that back in. I'm going to put all the spark plugs back in. And we should be good just to see if the engine has enough compression just to fire off a tiny bit. That's all I want it to do right now. I know you guys have been waiting for this, and you know what, I'm excited too. Alright, so we're going to hook up our jumper wire from the alternator so that we can run the starter off of it. So that's good. I have gas in a water bottle. It's actually fresh gas. We're going to turn our ignition to on inside the car. You hear that key buzzer? It's awful. Okay, ignition is on. Let's see what happens. Spray a little bit down the barrels, maybe a little bit inside the carburetor. Let's see if it even wants to do anything to begin. You guys ready? It's in park. time. A little more. So that squealing you heard was actually this belt sliding on this water pump. I think this water pump is seized because, you know, the belt's not that tight, yet I can't move it. So I think that might have been what was stopping the engine from turning. At least turning more than, you know, only the starter was able to turn it, but... Oh, yeah, that's a seized water pump, okay. Other than that, I didn't hear any knocks. I heard a bunch of lifters clattering around, but not too bad. Alright, this video's been way longer than I thought it was going to be, but I had to end it on the engine running. Yeah, it only ran for a couple seconds, but it ran. How awesome is that? So in the next video, we're going to figure out a couple things. We have to figure out the fuel system. I know there's going to be nasty stuff in the tank. The fuel pump's probably bad. The carburetor, I mean, we'll just see what it looks like, but the other thing is all the rubber in this car all needs to be replaced. Second is going to be that water pump and the cooling system. All the thermostat, radiator hoses, all that other kind of stuff is all just, yeah. But it runs, and it, you know, it fired up fairly quickly, and I'm happy about that. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I promise next week you'll get another video. If you guys stuck around, I'm gonna try to get it to run a little bit longer. So what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to fill it up, fill up the bowls. Hopefully that's enough to actually make it do something. Alright, we got accelerator pump squirting, so there is some fuel in it. Just a little more. Put a little down here. You guys ready? Pop. Ugh. Smells like death. Ugh. It is stinky in here. Woo!